used to these bouncy gravel roads. Why? I mean, it's charming, but it's also why? So I just ran into town to pick up a tire that we had patched for the little Kubota, because we ran over a stick yesterday and it just the tire. So gonna slap that on. And what else? Well, it's harvest time, but not much harvesting happening at the moment at the farm. This needs to hook up to that to combine beans, but that's not lifting. So we've been messing with it for pretty much all week, and a tech came out today and was working with it for quite a long time too. It's mouse damage to some wires that were kind of hidden in the... Got our work ahead of us. So the tech said there was mouse damage to the combine, but I must also mention that he doesn't really ever call techs, right? Because that's a lot of money. It costs a lot of money.
I mean, that's expensive. What I gathered. Yeah. They're just notoriously known to be extremely expensive.
Very expensive.
And apparently you pay a lot just for the diagnosis, not even for the work to necessarily be done. So he was real reticent to do it. But
so then we found out it was mouse damage, and mice. Going from living in town to out here, mice.
So when we lived in town in Indiana, every once in a while.
Every now and then.
Every once in a while we'd have a mouse, but
your mouse story.
And so it's not like we haven't ever dealt with mice.
We've seen mice, but
and living or staying with my dad at times over the years, I've heard like movement in the walls, old, plaster walls and old farmhouse and stuff.
But your mouse story.
But our mouse story here since moving in this
4 weeks ago.
We had a mouse trap that had been sprung, but it didn't catch a mouse. And we have a number of them around the house because we had already had an experience with catching one, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we knew we're moving out into the country, and we saw the evidence left behind of the renters who had lived here. We saw that they had stuff put out to catch mice. So we thought, okay, we're going to need to do that. So there was a trap that had gone off but didn't have a mouse in it. So for whatever reason that night, I had decided to sleep in the spare bedroom to have more space, and I was up late, and so and I was just doing my own thing, and I was laying down there in that bed, and all I could think of was that mouse trap that hadn't caught the mouse, and then I started hearing some weird noises in the room. So my brain got a little overactive, and I just said, screw this, I'm going upstairs and I'll sleep on the sofa in the living room. And Walter, our dog, is there in the living room, and I go up there, and I had read for a little bit, and then I had actually gotten up to go to the bathroom one last time to lay back down. I know this is like drawn out, but this is how... And everybody else was fast asleep. Mark falls asleep before he even hits... No, he will fall asleep midway from sitting at 90 degrees, like about 45 degrees. He's out before he even hits the pillow. So he had been out and he slept through this until I actually had to wake him up. But after I went to the bathroom, I laid back down and had just finished like adjusting myself with the Afghan, and I feel this flurry across my shoulder, and I go, ah! And in the dark with a little bit of like nightlight light, I see what I think are eyes in the corner of the sofa looking up at me, and I'm like, that's a goddamn mouse that just crawled over my body, my person, laying up on the sofa, and there's a dog in the room. And sure enough, I go in, I turn on the hall light. I shut Mark's door first. The boys' door was closed. Our bedroom door had been open, but I shut it. I turned that light on, and there was that mouse, and it scurried out from the sofa. And I yelped, and I got Mark up, and that mouse, we went into the bathroom with the light on, and that mouse came repeatedly around the corner, would scurry around the corner, look up at us in the bathroom, get startled, scurry back around, and come back to look into
He
at
was
us.
acting really weird.
It was very bizarre.
Kept looking at us.
and we would just.
I was on the bathroom counter, crouched up on the bathroom counter, screaming like a schoolgirl, while this mouse kept kind of chasing us and taunting us. The mouse that crawled on you.
It was like 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it was weird.
And it behaved very strange. And then Mark stayed hidden in the bathroom, and I crept out. I've told the story to my mom, and she's like, "Why didn't you throw something at it?" Like, well, it's in the middle of the night. I'm trying to be quiet. I don't have a broom with me there, and you know, it's just a mouse. It's this little tiny mouse, but you don't have anything on your feet because you're in your pajamas, and you just get this irrational heebie-jeebie, yes, like weirded out, whatever, freaky feeling. But I managed to zoom out of there to the kitchen, got a big pot that I had cleaned and was drying in the drying rack, and I took that, and at that moment that I zoomed out, it had seen me because it was around the corner, crouching between our sofa and the wall, and then it went around one more time, went into the bathroom with you.
It did, yeah. And I was in the sink at that point. I crawled into the sink.
And the mouse didn't want to get wet with Mark. So it zoomed out and went a different direction this time. It decided to change its weird, like, repetitive, what do we think? What's the disease? What's the thing that... Distemper behavior. And then it went the other direction to the end of the hall, but the doors were closed, and it just was, like, stuck there in the hall. So I had a perfect spot, and I was able to put the pan down over it. And then it was like, fun, we could breathe. But then it was, okay, how do we now get it? And so then I had the circular pieces of cardboard that come from a frozen pizza that are underneath the pizza. I had that in recycling. I pulled that out and I slipped that underneath, kind of like you do under a cup with a caught spider. If you're going to catch and release spiders, you put like a piece of paper or cardboard or something underneath. So I did that underneath the big pot. Oh, and I was holding it, and I could feel it on my bottom hand scurrying around. By that point, you're thinking, "Oh, poor mouse." But just moments before, I was thinking, "Effing mouse." And but of course, we're not going to talk about it. No, there's too many people who probably would want to think that we caught.
And the mouse,
they would want to think we caught and released the mouse.
Yeah,
but
it did. The mouse is happy now. It's living large. So the wiring that needs to be replaced is behind the seat, and I'm not that limber, so I'm going to try to remove the seat. Got some wire, and I also got a shop vac so I can clean it up a little bit so I'm not down in the mouse stuff. Here's what we're looking at. I unbolted the seat and moved it. I was going to move the seat out, but it's really heavy and bigger than I don't want to do it. I know I'm being picky, but I want to vacuum everything up first. That's just how I operate. Can you see it? All of these wires are chewed off between here and down there. I got to take off all of this and separate them out. And yeah, just slowly move along doing that. back in here, down in there. This is why I removed the seat. It would have been just impossible to lean over the seat to do this. It's just not super complicated. It just takes a lot of time and a lot of patience to go through all of these, and some of them I can just tape, but some of them I need to cut it out, or in this case, reconnect, new wire, and a lot of the same down in this box here. So, yeah, a lot. You can see kind of down in there, they just, I welcome any feedback for, what you do about mice. Mothballs. The tech yesterday suggested putting a bar of soap in each kind of cabbed tractor that's parked over the winter. And the mice will go for the bar of soap first, and then that tastes awful, and then they'll just leave. I don't know. What do you do? Okay, so I've traced most of the chewed up wires in here, back in there. Done a really bad bypass operation with new wire and some wires in there. Just a couple more I need to try to find the ends to. So the other thing is, why am I working on a combine? Since just a few months ago I was doing Zoom meetings about social media strategy. That's not a real thing. I was working on the combine because the tech that costs a lot. And so it makes more sense just to have me try to...
Yeah, because it already cost an arm and a leg just to have it diagnosed.
Just
but
to
then,
diagnose, but to come back out here.
And that included a fee for what?
Parts?
For parts, a parts fee, and they didn't use anything, but they just said,
just
oh, sorry, $100 of that is just a standard fee,
something like
whether
that.
we use it or not.
Well, anyways, so that's why I'm working on the combine.
I was pretty annoyed by that.
Well,
personally, it had nothing to do with me. But I guess I'm just naive.
I would like for this to end with, it was a happy ending. But, so the thing, it's called a feeder house?
Wait.
It lifts.
You were asking, why are you the one working on it?
Because it's better that I try it than the tech. Because it costs a lot more money than if I just took a stab at cutting wires.
The key, though, about why it's you instead of my dad is because if the viewers recall, and if number of videos,
people who follow along,
a few videos back, you successfully rewired Dad's generator. Yeah. And he said, well, buddy, you did such a stellar job on that. I'll hand this over to you. Now, that was an incredibly small job compared to this. And the pressure was really small because it hadn't worked for years and Dad didn't need it in reality either. So
no, it's still sitting there.
Now, right.
So, yeah, I rewired.
But this is very much in need soon.
I rewired an old generator, and due to that, now I'm rewiring a combine at harvest time. So the reason, though, I did that was because it is better to take a chance on me than have the tech do it. I would like to say it's a happy ending. The feeder house now lifts, so that part is corrected. But the reel on the thing that mows down the soybeans, it's not spinning. So there's still a couple of more, as it appears to be now, electrical issues to resolve, which is probably broken wires. So I can't end this video with this being, yay, it's just
Stay
more like,
tuned.